Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tetris Tournament Online 3, hosted by HardDrop.com and sponsored by the Tetris Company and Blue Planet Software. For those of you tuning in, this is the round of 8 match between mattyabar and Johnny147. There are 8 players remaining in this tournament, and the field is getting very narrow. Very talented players remaining, and they're fighting to stay alive. This is the losers bracket round between Johnny147 and mattyabar. Um, Johnny and Mattyabar just finished the last of their warm-ups, and there was a little confusion, so they're starting right after the game results are done displaying here. The scoreboard does need to is not entirely accurate. You need to subtract 2 from Johnny's score and Mattyabar. I'm Larry Tetris.
And I'm Morning P.
Woohoo! All right, going right into this game, both of these two players have quite a presence in the Tetris community. Johnny147 has been around the competitive scene for quite a while now and is a very well-known player in the North American scene, whereas Mattyabar does not quite have as much tournament experience, but is clearly extremely talented. And their play styles are just very fundamentally different. Can you go into a little bit more depth about this?
Yeah, mattyabar actually has quite a bit of tournament experience, but his is in the Japanese community scene. There is a wiki for Tetris Online Poland. Nowadays it's used for TetrisFriends, also Tetris Online Poland. I guess you could say both, but you're right. Both of these players have very distinct styles. Johnny has very strong defense, whether it's by looking at his red bar or by watching his opponent. He is just always ready to defend, and he's also really hard to get out. And that says something that mattyabar was able to take that match so quickly. Now, mattyabar is a very fast player, strong technique, but I would also call him a very defensive player. He got knocked into the losers bracket by Hebo Mai, I believe, but I think that we're going to see a strong showing from him as well.
Absolutely. I actually had you could call it a privilege. You could also call it the misfortune of playing Mattyabar in the losers bracket after he lost to Hebo Mai, the tournament favorite. And indeed, his timing is quite phenomenal. It's really hard. There were many instances where I noticed that he made a misdrop, and I was trying to capitalize on it, and his timing I just could not capitalize on the mistakes that he was making. And this is going to be a key factor when both players are extremely defensive players, or defensive in that they have a very keen mastery and keen awareness of the other player's field and the shape of the garbage that they're sending. And this will be a huge factor in deciding who comes out on top.
We're seeing mattyabar using some pretty nice techniques right there. He did an air T-spin double where he used an S-piece for the base of his T-spin double, but he used it far above his Tetris column. That, to me, shows that he's pretty relaxed this game, and I think that he's probably pretty warmed up. We're going to be seeing some good play from him right off the bat, rather than needing to wait for him to warm up first.
Johnny sent a massive spike to Mattyabar, but he managed to use the garbage in a downstack combo and survive Johnny's spike, and that left Johnny at the bottom of his field with no ammunition left, and is forced to just try to downstack after he made that misdrop.
Johnny just made that misdrop. He doesn't know where to place that T-piece. It looks like he's in a stable position now, however, and it helped that mattyabar made a misdrop. It gave him some time to readjust. Well, so what would you say that Johnny needs to do to really capitalize on mattyabar's weaknesses?
That's a very good question. Honestly, if I were aware of Mattyabar's weaknesses, I would have done a lot better myself. But from the looks of it, it looks like Johnny Johnny and Mattyabar, Johnny is just extremely consistent, and his past tournament experience really helps in him making very minimal misdrops. And between the two of them, it looks like Mattyabar makes a little bit more. And I think Johnny just needs to be aware of when Mattyabar makes misdrops and capitalize on these instances, because mattyabar is able to get through and utilize garbage that is sent when he makes his misdrops. So he just needs to spike him out before he can actually take advantage of that.
you saw mattyabar made a bit of a misdrop. He had to soft drop a T piece to get into that. To me, Johnny is a pretty analytical player, so I think that right now he's just kind of feeling out the match. That maybe even though mattyabar did win these first 3 games, he's probably going to come back and be a little more consistent after the next few.
Absolutely. mattyabar making another misdrop with that orange piece, forcing his use of the I piece to get to the garbage, and he makes another misdrop back to back. So Johnny able to capitalize and take the game off of mattyabar.
That's just what I was talking about. Johnny's waiting for mattyabar to mess up, and he's ready when he does. That makes the score 3-1, and Johnny is coming back now. Oh, is it 2-1? 2-1. So yeah, Johnny has been in the past 2 TTOs, so he should really know what he's doing by now. This is a very strong player.
Neither of them really go for extremely fancy openings. You'll notice that Johnny went for a Tetris opening while mattyabar went for a T-spin double opening. mattyabar microing his pieces at the top extremely well, very careful on his selection, using T-spin singles and T-spin doubles in the mix to make sure that he's canceling the garbage he needs to cancel to stay alive. And that very careful placement of pieces kept him in the game, while Johnny now has messy garbage in return, as mattyabar was not completing T-spin doubles and back-to-backs. He was simply going for tiny downstack combos that send this obscure garbage that is very hard to get through.
Then that obscure garbage, as you put it, does include the T-spin singles. You'd think that as sending a T-spin, maybe that would send more garbage, but the truth is, since it sends 3 lines, and since the garbage column alternates for every attack that you send, except for the rare occasion when it does not, that does mean it will be sending messy garbage. Johnny was able to get through that, and now it's mattyabar at the top, but he looks like he's in a safe enough position that he's able to downstack, and now it's just going back and forth. But this is not tennis garbage that we're seeing. I think that's a term that you used, Larry. This is just messy garbage going back and forth, except for this big spike that we're seeing from mattyabar.
Absolutely. Tennis garbage is a term that is used to describe straight garbage being sent back and forth, because when you're sending 4 or 5 lines at a time to your opponent, they can send it immediately back at once every 7 pieces with the eyepiece, and what that results in is garbage just bouncing back and forth. And even though it may feel like a player has momentum with the garbage rising quickly, it's very quickly reversed by when you get to the straight garbage. And you can think of it sort of like when you watch a tennis match, the tennis umpire, his head is just going back and forth watching the ball. That's where the term comes from, and I believe it was used a couple years back in one of the other previous tournaments.
So we saw both of these players opening with T-spin doubles. That was a very nice move from mattyabar. That's known as cut copy in English. I'm not sure what the Japanese is, but that's when you make a T-spin double on top of another T-spin double. And if you make the overhang for the second T-spin double right away, then you're able to execute them simultaneously. But Johnny was just able to spike mattyabar out after that.
mattyabar made a misdrop, a crucial misdrop with the L piece. He made a misdrop prior to that, and he was going to fix it with the L piece by rotating it under, but he messed up the twist, and that cost him the game. I think a very fundamental difference between mattyabar and Johnny is that mattyabar is actually very familiar with all the twists you can do with some of these pieces, whereas Johnny, his downstacking insight is just extremely good. So he isn't particularly adept at utilizing various twists and spins, but he saves the amount of time that other players might need for soft dropping pieces in order to twist into misdrops, and just downstacks through them, putting them in small combos that gives him an advantage in the long run.
I think that those advantages come from where these two players come from in their communities. Johnny, as we've mentioned, is an older player in the community, and so we don't see him doing a lot of the newer things that that people are using, such as twist. We see him just stacking through his garbage to down stack, and mattyabar is very familiar with more advanced techniques that are very often used in the Japanese Tetris community. And if I were to venture a guess, that's probably where he got all that exposure.
Indeed. If you're looking for information about any of the setups, feel free to visit the Hard Drop wiki at harddrop.com/wiki, and you'll find there that a lot of the setups are actually pioneered by the Japanese. And some of the Japanese Tetris community is well known for chaining multiple setups together in order to optimize the spiking potential that they have. Whereas the Johnny's playstyle is very much just about getting to the garbage, and even though he isn't necessarily the most efficient player as far as whether or not each piece maintains a back-to-back or is clearing large numbers of lines at a time, his use of the opponent garbage, even if it's doubles or triples, and using them in small combos helps him keep up his efficiency.
But one thing that these players have in common is that they're really looking at each other's screens, I think. Like mattyabar right there, he was just waiting with his Tetris piece for Johnny to send his attack to block it. Even though his APM was so much higher than Johnny's, he was still just watching the whole time. And mattyabar is just stacking through all this garbage really quickly right now.
Yeah. This game is a much better indicator, example of what tennis garbage looks like for the first couple seconds. Because they both opened with a T-spin double opener. In fact, they opened with the exact same opener, a TKI T-spin double. The garbage was kicked off right away, and they were able to use those clean garbage lines and send them back and forth.
Very nice S-prop from mattyabar. And look at that, he made another air T-spin double right there. We have yet to see a very large air T-spin double where someone uses an I piece or an L or a J, but those little ones are very efficient for use in tournament matches.
Indeed. Johnny not having the pieces he needs, having to put that S piece there and getting the pieces he needs immediately after, but it's just not enough because he misdrops the green piece above his Tetris column.
Just look at that APM from mattyabar, 121 lines sent in only 1 minute and 12 seconds. That's the mark of a very strong player, even though I don't think he's playing so aggressively right now.
The interesting thing to note is that the line sent mechanic in TetrisFriends does not take into account the garbage lines that are canceled. You'll notice that even though mattyabar sent 112 and Johnny only sent 48, he was still in the game. And when you have a matrix that's only 20 columns tall, when the difference exceeds 20 lines, that is an indicator of very strong defensive play because you're using a lot of your pieces and a lot of the attack that you're sending to cancel the attack that's coming in and keep yourself in the game.
Yeah, that reminded me of something. I think that caffeine mathematically defines someone losing when the number of garbage lines that you've received minus the number of garbage lines that you have blocked exceeds 20. Of course, that doesn't take into account the number of pieces that you have on that field, but that definition does ensure that that you will be dead when that instance occurs.
I think the one exception to this is when you are doing a side 4-wide combo, which we have yet to see in this match, but I believe we've seen from mattyabar in the past, because the field does extend above the 20th line outside of the on the outer 3 columns, and that allows you to stack for a combo larger than you would anticipate from a 20 tall matrix. Johnny definitely is not a player known for combos, but mattyabar does have some tricks up his sleeves. So maybe we'll see that in the coming matches or the coming games.
I think that if mattyabar is going to be using his 4-wide, he will save that for the matches following this one so that Johnny has as little time to adjust as possible. mattyabar is just making some really bad misdrops while Johnny's just at the bottom of his field sending lines. This I say that he makes misdrops and the tides turn a little bit. but these are both just really safe positions these players are in. Except since we've reached hurry up garbage, we're going to see a lot more pressure on each of them.
The hurry up garbage basically comes in when a match reaches 2 minutes and the dark lines at the bottom of the matrix cannot be canceled. So the size of your matrix is diminishing, and what this really comes down to is which player can utilize the limited amount of space best for making big spikes. I have to say that the advantage in this matchup definitely goes to mattyabar, because Johnny's consistency is derived from being able to use his opponent's garbage, and he's not as aggressive with T-spins as mattyabar is, and this gives mattyabar a huge advantage because T-spins take less room to set up than full Tetrises or down stack combos that require a lot of foresight down, and helps when you have more garbage to take into account in your foresight.
But we just saw both of these players speed way up, and that resulted in a lot of misdrops coming from both of them. I think that hurry up garbage might favor mattyabar in one other way, and that is that his spins are very useful in tight spaces when you don't have quite as much room to downstack. And that is even more true if you consider that when you're soft dropping during hurry up garbage, there's not usually as much room between your stack and the top of the screen, meaning that the soft drops that you would use for twists don't take nearly as long as they would in normal play. So here they are just going back and forth again. Go on.
Yeah, so an interesting thing to note about the momentum in games, you'll notice that Johnny had a lot of messy garbage, but mattyabar could have spiked him out if he had some straight garbage to use. When it comes to momentum, you want to be in the ideal spiking position is not at the bottom of your field, even though that is the safest position to be in. The ideal spiking position is probably around the middle of the field when you have garbage to use against the opponent. Because when you're using your own pieces, which is what you do at the bottom of the field, you need to generate all 10 minnows, which are individual blocks, in order to to execute an attack or to clear a line. Whereas if you're using your opponent's garbage, you're only using one minnow that's yours to clear a full line. And mattyabar has had many instances this match where you'll notice the spike that he just did, he executed from midfield and he didn't even reach the bottom of his field in. But he was able to spike so beautifully because he had garbage that Johnny sent to use against him. And that's where momentum comes from. If you're at the bottom of your field, you actually have very, very little momentum. You don't have garbage to use against the opponent. The midfield is ideal for momentum.
That's absolutely right. We actually saw in that match when mattyabar only had one line left on his field. It was a garbage line. He had the piece that he needed to set up a T-spin double, but he didn't use it. Instead, he waited until Johnny sent him garbage to send him to midfield, as you're saying.
Johnny did a very interesting opener this game. He tried to do a perfect clear and it didn't work out. And immediately after that, he made some ugly misdrops that cost him the game. But even then, you got to hand it to mattyabar, sending 33 lines in 18 seconds.
Wow, that's it. That's just insane. That's an APM of like 90 right there.
Alright, so Larry had to go, so I will be commentating the rest of the match. I'm D-Honk.
Alright.
Looks like mattyabar is going for his typical T-spin double opening despite having a misdrop here. But since Johnny's at the bottom of his field, he's not going to be able to send any major spikes right now. So mattyabar will be in a safe position going forward. Right now, both players have a little bit of messy garbage on their side, their fields. What did you want to say?
I was just going to say that you're right. It's just going back and forth right now, but slowly, as it is messy garbage that they're sending. It looks like Johnny is a lot more comfortable this game than he was in past games. He declined the T-spin triple that he had right there. We rarely see a T-spin triple out of Johnny.
I think Johnny's main problem right now is that he's spending too much time at the bottom of his matrix, and like Larry mentioned before, that's not a good position to be in when you're trying to spike someone out, especially a good defensive player like mattyabar. It's gonna take more than a T-spin double and a Tetris to spike him out. You're gonna have to chain your attack into maybe two or three of each to be able to spike him out because he's a very good timer and he'll block your attacks if he sees that you're doing that. Wow, that was a massive combo by mattyabar, and that takes the match for him.
What does that make the score now? 8-2?
I believe it's 9-2. It's Johnny minus. It's actually 10-2. Johnny -2 and mattyabar -1.
Mm-hmm. Let's see how Johnny adjusts based on what he's seen with his game so far with mattyabar. It looks like he is still opening with his standard T-spin opening. He has a nice he has a nice 7-2 stack going. He turned it into 6-3, but as you were saying, he's just really focusing on staying at the bottom of the field. I think that he may be intimidated by mattyabar's APM right now. That may be why he's trying to stay near the bottom of the field.
Well, even then, I believe that being in the middle is more advantageous because then you have material to block your opponent's lines with. Otherwise, if you're at the bottom and mattyabar sends like 3 T-spins and a couple Tetrises, he can pretty much top you out from the bottom to top, and that.
Absolutely. It just has to do with being comfortable with taking that risk. Right there, mattyabar was very close to the top, but he was able to combo out of it all the way to the bottom. And Johnny is still staying near the bottom. He just needs to be able to take that risk, get closer to the middle.
I think what Johnny is doing right now is he sees that he had some messy garbage, so he made it his priority to get through that because if you get a spike and you still have messy garbage, then your chances of surviving are pretty small because you have to waste a lot of time getting through that messy garbage first, and then by that time your opponent can chain his spike into maybe even more T-spin doubles and Tetrises, and that'll just cost you the game. It seems like mattyabar is going to make quite a big spike out of this, and that does take the match.
Hey, their APMs are tied.
Well, mattyabar was at the top of his matrix for quite a while, and he was timing his defense very well. Like he was stacking Tetrises and T-spins to cancel out Johnny's lines.
That really surprises me that mattyabar was able to take away the victory right there because Johnny looked so comfortable for a lot of the match.
I think the main problem right now is that Johnny's able to survive a decent amount of time, but in order to win the game, you also have to top your opponent out. It's not a matter of just surviving. So what he needs to do is like you said, he needs to take a risk sometime because by being at the bottom, he's never going to be able to muster enough output to top mattyabar out because mattyabar is such a good defensive player, and he times his defense very well too.
We are seeing him get really close to hurry up garbage though. I think that based on Johnny's style, he should try to top mattyabar out before hurry up garbage because as we were talking with me and Hilary, some of mattyabar's playstyles do favor hurry up garbage if it comes down to that.
Yeah, I do agree with you too.
Yep. Johnny is sending the T-spin singles right now. He looks like he's able to handle the garbage that mattyabar is sending very well. Once again, he is at the bottom of the field, and he's stacking up for a Tetris, but still just trying to stay near the bottom. Ooh, it looks like that time it was enough to spike out mattyabar. So we may see a comeback from Johnny in these feature games. So I think that makes the score 11-3, still favoring mattyabar, but I think that we're going to see more of the comeback from Johnny here.
Yeah, I
With
agree
players
with you.
opening with
Yeah.
a T-spin, a double. Go on.
I think that if Johnny can adjust like he did last game, oh, that was a very nice spike by Johnny. I think he takes this game too. Yeah, I think he might be able to get a comeback or at least get a couple more wins here because mattyabar is approaching match point.
Well, it's a couple of games still, like 3 games until he's really at match point. I think
Yeah.
that these are just going to be the crucial games for Johnny. He can't let mattyabar take those games, or else this is it for him at TTO3.
Yeah, mattyabar actually made a lot of misdrops in the past 2 games. I think that's pretty much what cost him those games. Seems like he's off to a pretty good start here though. Oh wow, that
Yeah,
misdrop is not gonna
yeah.
it's not gonna
It's a
serve
good
him.
thing he knows his eye spins, able to spin that into place right there. He's doing a lot of hesitating right now. It looks
Well,
like he wants to clean up this garbage in the least deadly ways possible. But he made another L misdrop. There's just no way he's going to survive this.
yeah, I don't know why, but he's just making a ridiculous amount of misdrops right now. And he's lost 3 games in a row because of that.
This is definitely good for Johnny.
Maybe he can piece together a win streak here. Because mattyabar had a
Yep.
pretty big win streak just then. Like, I think it was 8 games or something.
He
mattyabar
is
actually,
still,
oh, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, still 6 games behind. But mattyabar is back to using his excellent technique. We saw a Z donation there, and then right there he's doing a forecast from a T-spin single into a Tetris. Just very good technique on his side, but more
mattyabar makes,
misdraws.
yeah, those misdrops are a bit ugly, but Johnny has messy garbage to deal with, so mattyabar got out of that really easily.
That's just going back and forth here.
Yeah, the good thing about Johnny's playstyle is that he doesn't die quickly, so that gives mattyabar more time to make misdrops like he did just then. And based on those misdrops, Johnny can possibly chain together some sort of spike to kill him.
Johnny was able to downstack before that big spike came from mattyabar. There was something that mattyabar did earlier that was pretty nice. He did an S twist. I think it was an S spin double into a T spin to fix one of his misdrops. Even if he is making a lot of misdrops right now, I think that he's used to it enough for it to not throw him off.
I agree with you. His misdrops aren't really doing him that much harm in this match. Oh wow, I think Johnny might take this match too, unless mattyabar has the eyepiece, which he does.
But he's just at the top again. All right, that means that Johnny is only 5 games behind. Let's see how long this win streak keeps up.
Yeah, it seems like mattyabar's a little bit more nervous now because he's lost 4 in a row, and that's causing him misdrops. So I think the momentum's actually shifted here.
It's just about time for that to happen too. It's interesting. I wonder what changed because both of these players are still opening with their T-spin double openers.
I don't think technique-wise anything changed at all. It was just that mattyabar started misdropping a lot more, and yeah, I think that's game again.
This is a great comeback from Johnny. It must be psychological because, as you
Yeah,
say,
it
technique
is somewhat
did not really
psychological.
change.
So Johnny's actually getting closer. He has 7 wins in the match. It's 11-7. It was 11-2 earlier, so that says a lot.
Another big misdrop from mattyabar. That's not going to be so easy to fix. That's a 2 wide, if anything. And Johnny is just staying at the bottom through all that messy garbage. But his position did make it very easy to downstack. He's actually choosing not to block any of these T-spins coming from mattyabar. except for that one right there. But it looks like he's interested in sending more than blocking.
I think that might be because he feels that mattyabar's lost some momentum. So he feels that like if mattyabar misdrops, if he has more ammo, he might be able to top mattyabar out because of that. Mattyabar took that match. I mean, if mattyabar lost that match, that would be pretty scary for him. 6 losses in a row.
12-7. The game is still fairly close right now, although we did see a pretty bad misdrop from Johnny. There's no way he could have turned that into a perfect clear. That's not what he was going for.
Yeah, that wasn't really a perfect clear setup at all. But I don't think it really matters that much because mattyabar didn't really have anything set up. So Johnny wouldn't have died from that anyways. Mattyabar has a nasty hole on his side of the screen that he just needs to fix as soon as possible.
But he's just a very good down stacker there. We saw him fix it without a lot of twists even. And Johnny is just staying at the bottom of his field through all of that. That was his opportunity to spike him out. Mattyabar just downstacked through a T-spin, so you could tell that he was feeling the pressure at the top of his field right there. Now Johnny is just trying to downstack, trying to get back to his favorite position, the bottom of the field right now. So now it's still 40 seconds from a hurry up garbage, but it's just still going back and forth. More messy garbage on Johnny's side. Let's see if he's able to get through this. Yep, it's a good thing too. That looked kind of dangerous for him. I'm not sure what mattyabar is planning with this. So now Johnny's at the top of the field. He was setting up for a T-spin double, but that just was not the time for that. It's possible that his eye was still a long way off. That puts mattyabar at 13, so just one game away from match point. Whatever psychological pressure mattyabar was feeling in previous matches, it looks like it has subsided now. He's able to stack through his misdrops at least. Right there, we saw a pretty nice T-spin taking care of that.
Those misdrops are pretty nasty though, but he managed to get out of them pretty nicely with great defensive timing.
We're seeing Johnny's speed way up right now, so I think that he may want to attack. He's slowed back down to normal speed. Kaidan coming from mattyabar and sending Johnny to the top. He is just barely stacking out of that, but even then, that was too much. It is now match point favoring mattyabar. If Johnny was saving his 4-wide, this would be the time for him to use it. Let's see how he responds. I think like once or twice I've seen a 4-wide out of mattyabar, but yeah, that's not his favorite thing. Johnny is just really attacking right now. He is using the middle of the field. He's not down stacking through the middle of the field anymore. He's just playing very aggressively. Now, mattyabar is also playing aggressively, so we're just seeing garbage fly all around. mattyabar was waiting for garbage right there, but it didn't come. Johnny looked like he was trying to adjust his field. But he's back to playing aggressively. That was a nice downstack combo into a Tetris at the end. The nice thing about ending a combo with a Tetris is that you have the back-to-back, which is usually what the combo hinders. But it looks like that T misdrop is going to cost him. He has to do a spin to get out of that. No, 2 spins. And even though mattyabar has a very messy field, that does give him time to get out of it. Johnny looks like he's interested in getting to the bottom of the field now. Less attack now. And mattyabar is still just waiting for garbage to come from Johnny, as his preferred place in the field is the middle. mattyabar is playing very quickly right now, and so is Johnny. This is probably the most fast-paced game that we've seen between these two players this match. mattyabar getting spiked to the top, but still just down stacking like crazy. And now we hit hurry up garbage. Oh no, is this going to be it for Johnny? That's it. That takes the match. mattyabar with a huge APM, 152. That means that mattyabar will go on to play Microblitz, and Johnny will go on to practice and do what he may. Thank you for watching.